You get an email. It's from someone you know. It's a girl from your math class, a colleague from your office, your cousin, and by the time you click the link, it's game over. The I Love You virus traveled across Asia, Europe, and North America in just 5 hours, infecting over 1 million computers. The United Kingdom's House of Commons, which opened for business on May 4th, had to take its overburdened email systems offline, as did Ford Motor Company and even Microsoft, whose Outlook software was the principal way of propagating the virus. 4 days later, after the I Love You virus began spreading, Philippines police conducted a search at an apartment in Manila, seizing various computer-related items and arresting one of the occupants, Riomel Ramones. According to the authorities, Ramones was responsible for over 8 billion in damages worldwide. Adjusted for inflation, that's $14 billion. But after a 96-hour manhunt, the authorities were able to find him and bring him to justice. They got their guy. Or did they? Before the disruption of AI, before crypto, there was the internet. The disruption of the internet brought on by the dot-com bubble was similar to the hype we saw around crypto in 2021. The internet was something that was difficult to narrow down to a single use case to promise opportunity, innovation, entertainment, intimacy, love. Our brains are equipped to handle 100 billion operations a second. We often underestimate the capabilities of this human computer, but the thing is, humans are funny creatures. We have this all-encompassing tool that we are all born with, but we choose to let our emotions control us. Our feelings determine what our day is going to be like, and we can't take all the blame for this, as our hormones usually regulate the mood that we are in. But the people who want to take advantage of your feelings know exactly what to present in order to make you vulnerable. Seeing the words I love you on your screen releases so much serotonin and dopamine that your body doesn't know what's left from right. What's crazy is that these hormones do not discriminate. No matter how much training you've been put through, you will be tempted and even maybe click on a link containing a love letter to you. Don't believe me? Ask the US military and the Pentagon, who could not resist but open these I love you mails that ended up getting their systems infected with the bug and caused billions in damages.
That's rough.
So let's look at what happens immediately after the infection. First, the virus sorts out important files and documents, including photos, videos, and personal documents, systematically overwriting them with copies of itself. Users watched helplessly as their cherished digital memories and work files were obliterated. The virus's ability to overwrite files was a devastating blow, and users soon realized the extent of the damage. It scanned the victim's email client and address book, collecting contacts. Then, it began to automatically send copies of itself to every contact in the victim's address book. As a result, friends, family, and co-workers received the same deceptive I love you email, perpetuating the cycle of infection. The virus's rapid spread through the email networks and its ability to masquerade as a personal message heightened the chaos. So where did the virus come from? In the FBI's Washington DC headquarters, Michael Wattis was scrambling to get a handle on the attack. His first line of action was to send out a warning of a new in the wild worm virus, identified as love letter or love bug, is being propagated globally via email. But by this point, it was too late because the bug had spread across the world. But the good news is that every time the bug was sent out to another email, it also sent a copy of its code, and therefore reverse engineering, finding a cure for the virus, was not that hard. Once they started reverse engineering this virus, they also stumbled upon 2 email addresses, spider@super.net.ph and mailme@super.net.ph, both of which were based in the Philippines. There was also mention of Gramosoft Group, which was supposed to be the headquarters in this country's capital. While authorities were concerned that clues were a ruse, the virus also interacted with a server owned by Manila-based Sky Internet, where it provided credentials scraped from its victims' machines. Sky swiftly took the service offline, effectively stopping the malware in its tracks. Without the servers to send information to, it appears that the virus's author was never able to access or at least act on what was given to the server. I Love You became just a source of destruction and vandalism. It sifted through email inboxes all over the world and destroyed files despite not serving the original purpose. So who made it and why? This is where Ramones comes in, because the authorities were convinced that they had their guy. Ramones, a bank employee, did not fit the profile of a typical computer hacker, raising doubts about his involvement. Suspicion turned to the apartment's other residents, Ramon's girlfriend Irene de Guzman and her brother O'Neill de Guzman. O'Neill de Guzman, a student at AMA Computer College, was associated with a defunct hacking group known as Grammarsoft, which was involved in helping students cheat on their homework. When Guzman realized that the authorities were looking for him and that they got the wrong guy, and that this was all his fault, his mother hid his computer equipment and acted like they weren't involved with any of this. While the initial evidence couldn't establish de Guzman's membership in the group, the school provided a rejected thesis letter that he had written. This thesis contained code for a program that bore a striking resemblance to the ILOVEYOU virus. In the draft thesis, de Guzman outlined his program's goal of obtaining Windows passwords and stealing internet accounts from victims' computers. He proposed that users in developing countries could utilize the internet without paying by piggybacking on connections from wealthier countries. And this right here deserves an explanation. Third world countries, much like the Philippines, had internet access that was often charged differently. In many developing countries, internet usage was relatively low. It meant that fewer people were sharing the cost of infrastructure and maintenance. This in turn led to higher fees for individual users, meaning that most connections did not work based on bandwidth speeds, rather just the bandwidth limit. This might seem crazy for people who have never visited these countries, but this is the truth even today. For someone who is also from a third world country and who loved using the internet in the early 2000s, I had to do the math and make sure that I only visit static web pages in order to save my bandwidth and spread my internet usage throughout the month so that I did not finish it all in one go. And this is still the story for some people in these countries, so I understand where de Guzman was coming from. The internet should be free, and it should not be limited by how much we use it. Rather, it should be limited by how fast we are able to use it. Reading his proposal, de Guzman's teacher was outraged. "We don't produce burglars, and this is illegal," in the margins of his thesis. But while the thesis would cost de Guzman his degree, his teacher's argument about illegality would be proven incorrect. After staying out of the public eye for several days, O'Neill de Guzman, the suspected creator of the ILOVEYOU virus, appeared at a press conference in Quezon, Philippines, alongside his lawyer and sister. When asked if he might have been responsible for the virus, de Guzman's response, conveyed through his lawyer, was "It is possible." His lawyer further explained that de Guzman was unaware of the consequences his actions would have, emphasizing that the internet should be educational and free. Despite a significant amount of evidence collected by the police in Philippines, the agreement of multiple investigative agencies, including the FBI, and the belief that de Guzman was the culprit, the lack of appropriate laws for charging him posed a problem. At the time, the Philippines, like several other countries, had not enacted legislation specifically addressing computer crimes, and an attempt to prosecute de Guzman on fraud charges was also dropped. Years after the ILOVEYOU virus incident, Senator Edgardo J. Angara expressed his frustration, stating that they were unable to bring the wrongdoer O'Neill de Guzman to justice for causing harm to millions of people and companies worldwide. This sentiment was shared by many in the Philippines, including politicians and law enforcement officers who felt embarrassed by the situation. On the other hand, some individuals in the Philippines viewed de Guzman as a hero. They saw him as a Filipino genius who had garnered global attention, highlighting the creativity and ingenuity of Filipinos, whether for better or worse, and demonstrating their ability to make a significant impact on the world stage. Following the spread of the ILOVEYOU virus, admirers of O'Neill de Guzman's work emerged, not only in the Philippines but also globally. In the aftermath, numerous remixed copycats of the virus surfaced, with various messages like "very funny," "joke," "Mother's Day," and even "virus alert." Remarkably, despite extensive media coverage of the ILOVEYOU virus, many people continued to open suspicious attachments bearing different messages. So what happened to Guzman? The BBC recently tracked de Guzman down to a mobile phone repair shop in Manila, where he told the reporter that he regretted writing the virus as well as the infamy it brought upon him. "I figured out that many people wanted a boyfriend. They want each other, they want love. So I call it that," he said. De Guzman alleges he first gave the virus to someone in Singapore before going out drinking with a friend. He learned of the global turmoil that he had caused when his mother informed him that authorities were looking for a hacker in Manila. After a period of seclusion, de Guzman resumed computer work but did not return to college. He currently runs a little booth with the help of another employee. He expresses regret for creating the virus and the notoriety it has brought upon him. And he says, Sometimes I get my picture on the internet.